But those last two notes, bebop. Now, cool story. I got to spend a week with Dizzy Gillespie up in Canada when I was in college up in Canada in the late 80s. Dizzy Gillespie came to the college I was at. He was in town for a week and he came to the college like almost every day. It was incredible hanging out with Dizzy Gillespie and him rehearsing our big band and just telling stories. It was insane. So he told this story about where the name bebop came from. I heard it from Dizzy Gillespie's mouth. He could have been making it up. I don't care. It's a fantastic story and it's an educational story. So the story was, he and Charlie Parker are at Minton's Playhouse in New York, young guys like inventing this music along with Kenny Clark on drums and, you know, everybody else. And the music was very different. It was very reactionary. It was, you know, as the music of a lot of young generations reacts against what came before. What came before bebop historically? It was swing, right? So think about a Duke Ellington song like In a Mellow Tone. Those phrase endings were long notes with these long tapers and vibrato, right? And this fluffy sound, romantic sounding, all that, right? The bebop stuff was not romantic sounding. It was hard. It was industrial. It was, you know, it wasn't meant for dancing. Swing was meant for dancing. This was meant to sit your ass down and listen, right? So that was very different. So the music was a faster tempo very often, hard to dance to, right? It was angular, not smooth. And the phrase endings were abrupt. Everything was snapped off. It sounded ugly to a lot of people. The tone of the instruments was brighter, it was harder. Again, this kind of urban sound, right? So now, Dizzy Gillespie's story. So they're playing this music and some reviewer comes out from the New York Times or whatever and hates it. And the next day writes a scathing review about this nasty bebop music that they're playing at, you know, on 52nd Street. And he coined that term. This reviewer, whoever it was sort of an onomatopoeic, however you pronounce that, thing where he heard the ends of the phrases being ba-ba-da bebop, ba-do-ba-da bebop, and it was ugly to him and it stood out. And so he coined that phrase, this nasty bebop music. And so Dizzy got on stage, being the smart ass he was, the next night and says, hey, we're gonna play some of that bebop music that the Times like so much. That was his story. And like I say, I don't know if that's historically accurate. I've never checked it out, but I heard him tell me that story. And I love it because it tells us rule number 3 from Dizzy Gillespie's mouth, bebop. So you have to end the last two notes like that, bebop. It's not bip, bip. It's not short, short. Bebop. The B, there's a percussion to it, the B sound, but it's open at the end, B. It's not bip, it's B. The last one is bop, right? So there's a beginning and an end to that last note. Bebop. They're legato, right? Rule number 1, bebop. Not bip, bip. That wouldn't be legato. Bebop. The last one is kind of popped too, right? It's not be-ba, it's bebop. It's not bop-be. It's perfect, isn't it? It's perfect. Rule number 3, your phrase endings are bebop. And people will teach with different syllables. You know, I love it because we're talking about the style of bebop and Dizzy told the story. So there it is. Now you have a good Dizzy Gillespie story that, you know, you're like 2 degrees of separation away from. Cool.